Welcome into the campus of Benedictine College and the latest edition of Greatness Unleashed. Josh Pound, now joined by one of our many broadcasters here on campus, our GA, Collin Echols. Collin, it's been a great couple of first weeks for you here on campus. You've been kind of indoctrinated into the ways of the Raven world, but this week's theme is going to be a cross-country theme. But before we get to that, we'll bring Collin in with this week's Raven Rewind.
So we'll start on the court with volleyball, who went 2-1 overall on the week. Starting on Tuesday, the Ravens picked up a win in 5 sets against Peru State in electric fashion, trailing 12-3 in the final set. Benedictine strung together 12 points to the Bobcats' 1 to secure the set 15-13 and the match 3-2. The Ravens hit 133 overall. Barbara Teja, Lucy Drexel led the Ravens in kills with 16 each. Ren Van Cleve led in assists and blocks with 45 and 4 respectively. On the defensive side, Kelly DeMillionaire, Van Cleve, and Lainey Mustaine all tallied double-figure kills, 22, 19, and 12 those numbers. Mustaine added 3 aces to the box score of well, all of which came during the 5th set comeback. BC hit the road on Friday, picked up their 5th win in a row over the Statesmen of William Penn, again in 5 sets. Solid hitting percentage for the Ravens in that matchup of 199. 3 Ravens made it into double-digit kills. Teja had another big game with 20. Bridget O'Sullivan added 14. JoJo Vanderwoody was not far behind with 12. Van Cleve had another monstrous performance in the assist category, a season high of 58. And defensively, some familiar names in double-figure digs. Van Cleve with 18, Mustaine with 15, DeMillionaire with 15 as well. Hot streak unfortunately ended on Saturday with a close 3-2 loss to the Grandview Vikings. For reference of how close this match was, Set 3 had a final score of 33-31. Benedictine on top in that one. Again, it was Teja at the front of the kills line with 19. Drexel put up 13, and Raylene Gladden was the first out of double digits with 7. Van Cleve again was at the front of the assist category with 49, and DeMillionaire put up 26 digs to lead the defense. Let's head over to the pitch with a whole lot of road action for the soccer teams last week. Women's soccer was the lone action last Wednesday on the road against Heston College. Came away with a dominant win 4-0. The Ravens got off to a blistering start, netting 3 goals in the first 17 minutes of play. Christine Zendarczyk got things started at the 153 mark with the opening goal assisted by Annie Wilkin. Molly Finley would follow up with a pair of goals coming in the 6th minute and 16th minute. Goal 2 assisted by Rowan Yos. Isabel Agadello scored the final goal in the 70th minute. BC won the shots and shots on goal battle 29-8 and 13-5. Then how about another big win on the road Saturday for Benedictine by a score of 3-1 over Mount Mercy. Peyton Vogelbacher started the action in the 61st minute to put the Ravens ahead 1-0 off the assist from Yos. BC pulled away from the 1-1 tie with 2 quick goals in the 80th and 81st minutes. Agadello netted to take the lead, assisted by Vogelbacher, and Yos extended the lead to 3-1 off an assist from Taya Bigknife. The Ravens had 18 shots to Mount Mercy 6, 10 shots on goal to the Mustangs 2. Men's soccer followed with the Ravens finishing in a 1-1 draw. All of the action came in the first 17 minutes of play. Felipe Angulo put the Ravens ahead 1-0 in the 5th minute before the Mustangs equalized in the 17th. Nima Samadian assisted the lone goal. BC put up 9 shots to Mount Mercy 7. Both teams had 4 shots on goal. Now to the gridiron, where the number 3 Ravens picked up another dominant win, this time on the road against Missouri Baptist, 52-21. Leaders from the game, Jackson Dooley, 19 of 29 through the air with 148 yards and 2 touchdowns. He added another score with his legs. Out of the backfield, Xavier Ugorgi, 142 yards on 24 carries with a pair of touchdowns. J.J. Jackson added 88 yards on 7 rushes with a trip to the end zone. Then defensively, Dylan Witherspoon and Joseph Abrams showed out for the Red and Black. Witherspoon tallied 7 total tackles to lead the team. Abrams put together 4 tackles, 1.5 for a loss, and 1 sack. The Ravens headed into their bye week. Josh, pretty loaded week of action last week. Unfortunately, not a lot of it on campus, so we didn't get to witness a whole lot in person. But the box scores looking pretty good for Benedictine right now.
The unofficial halfway point of the fall semester here, as football is the kind of the gauge of where we're at bye week wise, but I think soccer's and volleyball would tell you they've already surpassed the halfway point. I'll throw you on the spot here a little bit. You've focused mainly on football. You've been around the volleyball matches. You've been around the soccer, some of the soccer games, helping with different aspects of things. Just your initial thoughts on, getting intertwined and ingrained with Benedictine athletics so far?
Oh, it's been awesome. I mean, the environments every single game have been pretty electric. I mean, my first real game, I guess you could say, that I was thrown into was week 1 of football against Morningside. So when that's your introduction, I mean, and everything else pretty much stacks up in terms of environment, the boards, the hype videos, everything. It's been really cool. It's been a fun experience, and I'm glad to be here for the next couple of years.
Well, thank you, Collin, for bringing us this latest edition of Raven Rewind. Coming up after the break, we'll sit down with the Director of Cross Country and Track and Field, Jacob Connealy, as we continue with a theme of cross country for the rest of this week's episode of Greatness Unleashed.
Welcome to the Heart of America Athletic Conference, where innovation meets tradition. Here, growth is not just measured in victories, but in the development of character and sportsmanship. Our student athletes compete at a championship level, pushing their limits every day. The Heart is committed to an uncommon student athlete experience that features some of the premier athletic programs in the NAIA. Our commitment to excellence goes beyond athletics, establishing a community of support and mentorship. But what truly sets us apart is the heart with which we play. Join us and experience the passion, the drive, and the spirit of champions. That passion and commitment extends off the playing field and into graduation. The Heart of America Athletic Conference, champions in competition, leaders in life.
Welcome back to the latest edition of Greatness Unleashed. Josh Pound now joined by, we got to get this straight, it's the Director of Cross Country, Track and Field, right? And it's Jacob Connealy. So what that means is that you oversee both cross country, track and field. You've got some great assistants with you, obviously, that help kind of, specialize in certain areas. But what we brought you in for this week is to talk about the successes so far of cross country. The women on the national radar again, nationally ranked. That's a program that has been well known in the area for quite a while with multiple conference championships, and the men knocking on the door again for a national ranking. So just talk about what it's been like this season so far for the programs that you guys are about midway through the semester.
Yeah, we got really three or 2 season races, and then we got conference and then nationals. And if everything goes according to plan, we'll be at nationals for the men's and women's teams. So far, I mean, we started the year pretty strong. We ran at St. Mary's, and St. Mary's is always a very good program, and we were much closer to them. Like, we got second in both sides, but we were much closer to them this year than we were last year, which is saying a lot because we got a lot of freshmen. Our top, I guess our number 2 runner was a freshman on the men's side, and our number 1 runner on the women's side was also a freshman. So we got a lot of new talent in there, so it's kind of like we're hopeful we have the talent to do really well this season, but also we're relying a lot on, we have some good returners too, but we have some freshmen that have really stepped up that we're kind of relying on in a lot of ways. And then Baker, we got second and first, and I think both were a good showing. And then I think Gans Creek kind of was on the women's side. I think we'll probably move up in the rankings because we're pretty close to the number 4 ranked team. And on the men's side, we'll probably go down a little bit. But we had one guy kind of step up and 2 guys not run their best races. So, I think it's early in the season, and I think there's a lot to look forward to still.
Well, between Baker and Gans Creek, you had an opportunity to take a split squad up to another one, and they showed really well. So that kind of speaks to the nature of how the program is right now, where it's you've got a second group that's really kind of pushing that first group, and then on any given race, they can combine, and it's just the best 5 scorers, and you go. Yeah.
On the women's side, it was cool because we only took 5 girls, and you have to have 5 to actually place at a meet to score it. And so to be top 2 was pretty cool. And then on the men's side too, we didn't have our top 12 on either side, so it just shows the depth that we have right now. And we couldn't race. We added that race because Gans Creek, they said you can only race top 12, and so we were like, well, let's get these guys another race because it gives you an opportunity to develop and grow and learn. You need the races.
And most weekends you're able to take that full group. How do you balance, being able to kind of get everybody an opportunity to kind of showcase themselves, but at the same time you're starting to develop about this time of year who that top tier group is going to be, or does that just kind of happen organically?
It kind of happens organically, but you kind of know who they're going to be generally. Like there are a few people that like kind of like on the bubble that you might see like have a like, and it's hard to know because so when you train, there's so you use the summer to build up a lot of miles, and then you're pretty much close to your max mileage, like number of miles per week. When you get here, but then you kind of add in speed and you're maintaining those miles, and then you get closer to the end of the season. I don't think we've actually started to taper yet, but we'll start to taper and back off, and then athletes will start to feel a lot more fresh. And so you don't know like once the training is a little bit lighter, what will happen. So like last year, our number one runner at conference was Micah on the men's side, and he was not close to that. He PR'd by like 2 minutes, and that's not that he wasn't trying before. It's just that. He hit the training well, and the timing was right. I mean, there's all sorts of things like what you eat,
Right.
factors that play in. But hopefully, hopefully we all hit the training really well and peak at conference, and then maybe at nationals. It's hard to double peak, but they're only 2 weeks apart, so
Right.
like you can kind of maintain that for a couple weeks. But right now we're out Sebastian on the men's side, which is kind of tough. But I think we have the guys to step up and fill the position if he isn't able to come back. But things are getting better for him. We're hoping he'll be back by the end of the season.
Well, and cross country is a sport that I think most folks will look at it. They see it as an individual sport, obviously, but there is a lot of team strategy that goes in. The successful teams and when the women have been at the height of their success in the last couple of years, it's because it's been a complete and total team effort. So just talk a little bit about like, the give and take of like you want to see the top athletes excel and go on and do great things, but at the same time you've got to also make sure that they're I guess pulling the rest of the team with them as they succeed as well.
Yeah. You can't have you want to run as a pack. You want to stay together as a group for as long as possible in the race, but that's assuming that the people that are a little slower are running up with the person that's faster,
Right.
not the person that's faster backing off, So a lot of times at the race, I'm like, hey, just go get up with the person that's right in front of them. Like, go give them someone to run with, because you don't want to end up running by yourself. Like, it takes you need motivation to run hard and continue to run. And if you're by yourself, that motivation for a lot of people is just gone. Because it's like, okay, like I'm on an island, so it's like stay with your team, like push your teammates, like help them. Don't make it just about you. If you're running to help your teammate, I think it's going to make a big difference, and you'll run faster and they'll run faster.
Well, we'll kind of transition now. We'll get a unique situation. I don't get an opportunity much to talk to a lot of our coaches, but part of the what we want to showcase during the show is to talk about, especially when I get an alumni like yourself in a situation. We talked to Coach Hansen in the beginning of the year and got her perspective as a coach and as an alum as well of Benedictine. But just kind of take us back, what was your experiences like as an undergrad and what that was like for you as a student athlete here at Benedictine?
I think the most I was the only one in my class that competed all 4 years in track and field. And that includes the distance crew. Which is incredible to think about now, because we have 118 kids in the team. I mean there were 60 kids in the team then, but like there was a lot of kids coming, kids going. I think Alex Rodriguez, she competed for 3 years and then she didn't compete her senior year. Like there were people that were around that competed, but there was no one that besides me that did all 4 years. So to see the growth since then has been, pretty impressive. Even when I got here, I took over the program, there were already 100 kids in the team. And now to see when I got here there was one coach and then I was the second, and now we have 4 full-time coaches and we have a new track, and I just updated my office. I got a new office space, so there's so many things. Like I think about how President Minnis is always saying forward, always forward. It's definitely happening on the track team right now. Trying to improve everything. We've got new blocks in the past 2 years, new high jump standards, new vault standards, new top covers for the high jump and vault. All sorts of just different improvements. Always looking for ways to make things better. And I think as an one thing that I'm doing is I'm trying to send out an alumni newsletter each month. We miss it sometimes, but just to send like an update. And I have, my brother's an alum too, so I was like, hey, did you get the email? How do you like?" And he's like, "No, that's exactly what I want. I just want to know like the highlights from each meet, and you know." I mean, I never knew what was going on when I graduated. You know, like unless I was reaching out to somebody who I knew who was still on the team,
Right.
I wasn't in the loop. So it was kind of good to, you know, let people know how things were going.
So there was a little bit of a gap between your time as an undergrad when you competed for track, and then you came back as the coach. Just kind of fill us in on what you were doing with yourself in that time, and then what ultimately brought you back into coaching at Benedictine.
So I think I always kind of wanted to coach, even here. I remember asking my coach, how did you get here? He's like, well, it was kind of lucky. I was like, okay. So, but I was an accounting major, and I was going to go the CPA route. I worked for a public accounting firm for about 5 months, hated it. It was not fun. And, I mean, I was kind of thinking like, okay, I come from a big family. There's 7 of us, and 7 of us kids. And I was like, I kind of want that for my future too. And I got to a point where I wasn't dating anyone. It's like, why am I doing this accounting thing? So I was like, well, I'll do the coaching thing. So I coached at my high school for 2 years. And I was a residential dean there because it's a boarding school.
Okay.
So I did that. And then during that time, like, it was a Benedictine school. So like very similar to Benedictine College, in a lot of ways. You know, there was a lot of time to pray and like reflect. It wasn't the most taxing job. So, I mean, it was a good time for me to grow, but I ended up going to seminary after that. For 3 years, I was for the Diocese of Omaha, and then I went down to Kenner Glennon Seminary for those 3 years, which is in St. Louis. And then eventually, you know, through prayer and, you know, talking to spiritual directors, formation, decided that, you know, that's not what the Lord was calling me to, because, you know, I always imagined having a large family, and now, so I discerned out and ended up working in accounting for a little bit. I worked for a small, I didn't do the public accounting thing. I just worked for a small company, and I actually started by delivering doors, stair parts, trim, because I was like, I don't know what I want to do, but I need to make money.
Right.
I need to be doing something. So they're like, oh, you have an accounting degree, they moved me to the office. So every 3 months or so, like, I basically got promoted or moved to a different position. I was running a paint company, then I got moved to the wholesale like trim side, and then I got moved to the like the more profitable side, which was selling like directly to individual people who are building homes.
Right.
So I did that for a little bit, and I mean, it was good. I mean, it actually set me up really well for here, because I really had, I mean, I was running a company.
Right.
You know, I was the guy on the daily basis that was, I mean, I wasn't the head guy in charge, but he was, you know, doing other things, and I was taking care of the daily stuff. And I got a phone call like in October from the previous head coach, Jaquel Smith, and he said, hey, you want to be an assistant? And I was like, yeah, I've kind of been waiting for an opportunity like this. I didn't plan on doing accounting for the rest of my life, though, you know, if I need to, I would. But so it took till January to actually get hired and get down here. And then I took over as the assistant, or I took the job as the assistant, and then 8 months later, Jaquel stepped down.
Right.
And I mean, I remember him being like, well, you're going to take over. And I was like, I don't think that's your choice. but had a meeting with Gart Meyer, and we just decided, yeah, I'll do it. And I was not ready for cross country. I was not, but I used a lot of resources. I know Phil Davis, he was a cross country coach here for a while.
Right.
And I called him, and I was like, hey, I need you to critique my stuff each week. And he was talking to the captains, and so we were using our resources, and I was learning more about cross country because it wasn't my thing.
Right.
And I mean, we won men's and women's. So and a lot of that was due to a lot of the seniors, Mary Rawls, and David Manila, like strong leaders, Lily McGeaney, just a lot of people who were willing to like, all right, coach, this is what we did last year. Here's what worked. And we just kind of talked through it, and I kind of made the plan with them. Very collaborative, as opposed to just saying, I mean, what I did find out, though, is I did push them too hard. And so, like, a lot of the cross-country team did, like, they were tired
Right.
for track. And now that I hired a Coach Kofer, the distance coach, which has been a huge gift to the program, like, kids can, like, make it through cross-country and then still be able to race well in track and or indoor track and outdoor track, because I kind of burned them out, honestly.
Well, and you talk about, I mean, there are probably some that may not necessarily do the track side of things, and there's obviously a ton of kids that do track that don't do cross country. So when you're going through that recruiting, phase to bring somebody in, is it kind of like, do they have? I mean, do they know they have the option to do one or the other, or do you kind of encourage them to pursue?
For cross-country runners, we tell them we want you to do both. And I mean, I haven't had an athlete yet that said, no, I don't want to run track. But I was like, it doesn't really make sense for a cross-country athlete to not do track. We don't encourage our track athletes only to run cross-country generally because they're doing sprints, jumps, or throws, which isn't conducive to the same type of training as a distance runner. So right now, all of our distance runners do track and field. We do have so Betsy, who was athlete of the week a few weeks back, and has been one of our number one or in the top couple each race. She has actually never run track before, so we're kind of excited to see like what she can do come track season. But yeah, she'd never done it before.
Is it kind of one of those things sometimes too, where like if they feel like they do need some time off, then you kind of slowly ease them into the indoor? Or is it kind of one of those things where indoor is just kind of a bonus for them, but really it's a fall schedule in cross country and then the outdoor season that's really kind of.
It depends on the individual. So our distance is what wins us. There were other people that scored points besides distance indoor the past 2 years. On the men's side, we've won, but we're heavy distance, and so like if individuals need time to rest and recover, like we can work with those athletes. But a lot of it is so like we don't race every week.
Right.
So our schedule in the fall is like we're racing every other week. Sometimes there was a 3-week gap there. And so it's basically spacing it out so that we can train for the whole year essentially. And then like they don't run at every track meet. So most kids will have 3 races or 3 track meets they go to indoor and 3 outdoor unless they go to nationals, because all you gotta do is hit the qualifying mark to get into conference.
Right.
And then, yeah, you can run a workout and get what you need as opposed to going to a race if you've already hit the qualifying time. So trying to just not race them to death, essentially.
Right.
Just race them when we need to and do kind of the minimum to get into conference, and then they can run their best race at conference and or nationals.
Well, we hear, nowadays we hear so many, coaches talk about how the recruiting process and things that go into that. I mean, has it been an easier transition for you from that standpoint because you quite literally have lived what these kids are going to experience?
I think, it's easy when it comes to like, what do you like? Selling the school is easy. It's like, here's what Benedictine's about. If you like that, great, come. If you don't, don't come here. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I don't want kids that are, that aren't gonna feel at home here. But I think, I had never recruited anybody before. Even as an assistant, I didn't really do any of the recruiting, to be honest. So it's a big learning curve, and luckily, like we have enough. We get a lot of distance kids that reach out because we kind of have a distance tradition.
Right.
So those kids, Coach Kofer is going through like all the time. He's got a stack of kids that he needs to like reach out to and like, okay, is this kid like where's he at? Is this a kid we want or not? And for the others, like for the sprints, jumps, and throws, we kind of like we're getting better at going to school. So I went to Wichita a week ago and visited Capon and Carroll. And we're trying to get to Helias and Missouri, trying to really like hit those bigger Catholic schools that have kids that are really interested in coming here, as opposed to like, because we don't have a lot of recruiting time, because we're in. Me and Coach Kofer, we're in season. Coach Hayjock and Coach Franken, they don't have meets they're going to in the fall because they're all track and field, but there's just not a lot of time to go visit schools, so. We try and just hit the big ones and hope for the best.
Well, and from a recruiting standpoint, I think it's been a positive for me to see at least that you've maybe gone and got some reinforcements in the spring from another program on campus when you've been pulling some guys off the football team.
Yeah.
How much of a benefit has that been to be able to give those guys an opportunity to kind of excel in an area where they obviously had the experience doing it coming to Benedictine and then didn't realize that I could still do this in college.
Yeah, so I think right now a lot of them are. So this year, hopefully, we get we score more points in it. If you look at like just the number of throwers we had like at our conference meet the past 2 years, it was a very low number.
Right.
We basically doubled our numbers. We still haven't scored more than a few points here and there. But that's because a lot of them are young. Now we have some juniors, so hopefully, this year we can continue to improve and score some bigger points in the throws. It's tough. Our conference is actually pretty good at throws, so it's not they're not easy points. Like there's events like the pole vault. Like there's not a lot of pole vaulters in the heart for some reason.
Well, there's not a lot of pole vaulters, period.
Yeah.
Anymore.
And then triple jump's kind of the same way. Like you can get top 8 decently easily, but top 4 is hard. But when it comes to the throws, we have to be. The top 3 or 4 typically going to nationals in our conference. So you got to be one of the top people.
And I don't want you to get into that too much because that's obviously a sport that's still kind of down the road a little bit. But what goes? Obviously you find athletes that can compete in certain levels, but then you just talked about it. It's a numbers game. Like if we can score points in events that we don't normally score points in, then that's a bonus. Like that's talking to Owen at the beginning of the year. Race walk was not something that he had tried, and sure enough, he finds out I like it. I'm good at it, but that's points that you wouldn't have otherwise been able to get had he not been open to experiencing that.
Yeah, and there were. I think there are some other schools that are kind of annoyed with us because we threw 5 guys in the race walk.
Right.
It's like when 3 people do it, it's like, okay, of course we're going to have guys learn it and do it because it's free points. If you're going to play the game the whole way. Don't just,
right.
The race walk is at nationals. Like we have it at conference. We're going to put people in it. And it just so happens that we have 2 guys that actually 3 guys that went to nationals last year. And then Leah Kuhn on the women's side. And I think we're going to continue to do that, but we find those events that, are weaker and let's get somebody in there, see if they can do something. Because that's how you win the championship. It's not, you can have a lot of individuals that are really good and they'll do better at nationals, but for conference, it's all about finding those points here and there.
Well, and so the last thing we'll touch on, obviously, because we're talking about it, so we might as well finish it off with a little bit. But do you feel like you're gradually getting the track side of things to where you're going to be able to consistently score more points across the board? You talked about Benedictine has been heavily scored from middle distances, long distance, and then in the last 4 or 5 years, it's kind of started to balance its way out a little bit, but. Do you feel like you're getting there with the younger athletes as they stay in the program longer, that you're going to be able to score more consistently?
Yes, and I think the biggest place you're going to see that this year is in the hurdles. Will Benson, he ran a good race at our conference last year in the 400 hurdles and scored some, I can't remember if he was 4th or 5th, but scored some good points for us. But, we brought in Caleb DeGroot and Philip Eck. They're both from Wichita. I get their high schools mixed up all the time. But, both those guys could potentially go to nationals right away, and so Will he didn't go to nationals last year, but right there, we could have 3 guys top 4 at our conference potentially in that event alone, which is a lot more points than we scored in the sprints total last year.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's just one event, and it just depends on how all the athletes develop. We had I think it's 8 women's sprinters come in and 7 men's sprinters, not football people,
right.
So. That can just train sprints all fall and winter. So I think, we're going to be in a lot better place, and it'll take a few years to develop. But I think 2 years from now, we're definitely going to have a lot more sprinters scoring. We're still that was what grew the most was sprints for this year. Hopefully we'll get more throws and jumps for next year. But a lot of our jumpers are football guys.
Right.
So.
Well, thanks for taking the time to sit down with us. Kind of give us a little bit about what's going on with the world of cross-country track and field. Obviously very intertwined, so we probably maybe talked a little bit more track than we did cross-country, but a successful fall so far for the cross-country program with a lot of success coming up. So I appreciate you taking the time to sit down with us today, Jacob.
Yep, of course. Thanks.
Coming up after the break, we'll catch up with one of the members of the cross-country track and field team, and Josh Melendez, and get his takes on his new time here at Benedictine, being a transfer into the program here on the latest edition of Greatness Unleashed.
So call me a man on a mission. I'm guilty by my
Welcome back to our next segment here on the latest episode of Greatness Unleashed. Josh Pound now joined by Josh Melendez, transfer here for men's cross country. The reason we brought you in this week is you were recently named the Heart Runner of the Week. Just talk to us a little bit about what it's been like to kind of jump into the thick of things, be highly competitive, and be welcomed into what has been a pretty successful program over the past 4 or 5 years as a brand new member on the squad.
Yeah, it's been really, really nice. I'm really glad I'm here. The competitiveness is just where I wanted it to be. And I mean, they've just incorporated me very well. The coach, his training for me is just, I'm really glad I'm here for the training. It's not like I've done before. It's very different to what I was used to. And I think it's really helped me a lot already. And then just the atmosphere of the team is perfect for my personality and what I was actually looking for. And the teammates, they just really reached out and just wanted me to do stuff with them.
Right.
Like, they just pulled me to this place, that place, so that I could be incorporated into the team really well.
So as a transfer, were you competing at another school? Were you at a junior college, or was this just kind of like you maybe taking some time off or come back into the sport? Just take us through what your a little bit of your past before you came to Benedictine.
Yeah, so actually I came from California. I competed at Cerritos College in Norwalk, California. It was a 2-year junior college. I really loved that program. I can't say enough about it. I really, really loved it. It was a great place to be at for those 2 years that I was not here. And it really developed me really well to be able to have the opportunity to actually come here. Because straight out of high school, I was nowhere near as good as I am now. And I was not competitive enough to actually go into a college setting to run. But those 2 years at that junior college and the Cerritos College really developed me absolutely amazingly to compete really well at this level.
So obviously, we've heard President Menace talk about how Benedictine is now a national brand.
Mm-hmm.
So you come from a junior college in California all the way out here to little old Atchison, Kansas. Just take us through what that experience was like and how you ended up here on Benedictine's campus.
Yeah, so since it's a 2-year college where I came from, and it's a pretty competitive one, most of the people there go there so that they could have a chance to transfer and go D1, D2. Most of them go D1, D2. So our Coach Richardson, really pushed all of us to go to a school that really fit our personality. So he didn't care about anything like that. So he really helped us in researching what we were really looking for. And I sort of already knew what I was looking for. Catholic, or a good environment. It has to have my major. The cost, because or else I wouldn't probably be here. But so all those things combined, I just really researched, and nobody told me about Benedictine. I didn't know about it at all. It was just purely just research. I looked at the Newman Guide for recommending the colleges. That was mainly where I looked, to be honest. But other than that, it was just purely my own research and just looking for what I wanted in terms of athletics, in terms of academics, in terms of environment, and all those things. So
your faith helped, drive you to Benedictine? Was that one of the key contributors?
Yeah, that was probably the biggest thing, because actually I was looking at another school in this area. I will not name the name, but I was actually looking at another school in this area, very close, and it didn't seem like it would fit my personality, basically, mainly my faith, but I knew Benedictine had that faith that I really, really wanted. So that was really the main contributor, to be honest.
So you're here now, transferring in. What are you looking at academically to be able to use to kind of continue your time here at Benedictine and then beyond?
Yeah, so I'm a major in theology with a focus in secondary education. So basically I just hope to go into a Catholic high school and teach theology. So.
Oh, there's plenty of opportunities in this area and probably throughout the country for that. What would you look at? You've been here for a month or two at this point. Like, what would you say has been the biggest surprise for you about Benedictine, given the amount of research that you did, and obviously Newman Guide? So it's a good win for us in that standpoint, and that you used that as part of your research. But what's been the biggest surprise for you now that you've kind of settled in and you're here in the thick of the Benedictine experience?
Yeah, so the pictures and the videos don't do it justice. I actually never visited this school before I came here. I just sort of came here on a whim, knowing what I saw from videos and such. And it doesn't do it justice. It's just so much more vibrant, more, I guess, Catholic than it shows. And just all the opportunities here are so abundant in every aspect. It's just amazing.
So, one of the things we talked about before we started was, I'll admit, I ran a half mile once. I was a quarter miler. So take us through, like, the anatomy of a race. Like, what is it for you that it draws you to competing in cross country?
Yeah. It's not very fun, to be honest. So you just know you're gonna be hurting. Like, that's just you just have to accept it. You're gonna hurt the whole time. Like, sometimes you're gonna hurt the whole time. Like, you don't want to run before you run. You don't want to run while you're running. It's just everything. Like, you just don't want to do it, but you do it. And really, for me, I just take it one at a time. I like running from sort of the front of the pack, so I like to go out in front and just see how long I could hold on. I don't because I have a watch, and it does my mileage and stuff, but I don't wear the watch because it distracts me during a race. Because during a race, I'm racing for placement, I guess. The time will come. That's what we say. Like, we race for placement. Time will come and stuff like that. But for me, it's really simple. Really, to be honest, I just go, run from the front, see how long I can hold on, or if we have a certain strategy depending on the team aspect, maybe I'll stick back a little bit and then move up during the race, because it's a long race.
Right.
It's an 8K, so it's 5 miles, pretty much. So you don't want to burn out in the beginning, because you're still going to have 4 more miles to run. So you want to sometimes stick to the back and then slowly move up during a race.
Well, and the final thing, I think you just touched on it. So I think people look at cross country and they go, well, that's an individual sport. But then you just mentioned that, well, I like to go out in front unless there's a different team strategy involved, and then things may change a little bit. So just kind of open up the curtain a little bit on that concept, as far as, like, it is an individual effort, but, like, you are feeding off of one another and pushing one another as a team, because ultimately the team result means as much as the individual result.
Yeah. So it can be individual. So you could go and you can make it to nationals by yourself if you want to, but it's a lot easier if you do it with a team. If you have a team that could do it with you, it's a lot easier. So every person counts. We count the 5 top people in each race. So you want to make sure you're as close together as possible, because the less points you got, the better chances you have at winning. So it's not all about, and it's good if you have a guy who's in front to get the least points you can. But if that guy's all the way in front and then the rest of them are all the way in the back, nothing's going to change. You're still going to lose. So you really just want everybody to be as close together. And it's really important, because making it to, or winning a conference meet, winning conference is a lot easier with the team. Going to nationals is a lot easier with the team. So.
All right, well, that'll do it here for this segment on Greatness Unleashed. Josh, thanks for taking the time to kind of open up the curtain a little bit on what it takes to be a member of the cross-country program here at Benedictine, and good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Go tear this life apart, go find out where it starts, and do it all again until you find where it all begins. If you want to leave your mark, you gotta be the spark. Under the surface is the purpose you've been searching for. Open up the here and now. Cast away your fear and doubt. Push and make it work. Get what you deserve. Turn the volume up and live out loud. Open up the here and now. Cast away your fear and doubt. Push and make it work. Get what you deserve. Turn the volume up and live out loud. Laugh until it hurts. Dance until it burns. Love until you learn to live out loud.
One. Welcome back to the latest episode of Greatness Unleashed. Josh Pound, we hope you've enjoyed this week's episode. But before we let you go, we'll take a look at what's going on in and around campus this week, as it's a soccer and volleyball week featured here on campus. Raven Volleyball returns to the Ralph Nolan Gymnasium for a junior varsity doubleheader on Tuesday night against MNU. Men's soccer hits the road for their final non-conference game, as they will take on the Bruins of Bellevue University up in Bellevue, Nebraska on Wednesday. And then finally we return home on Saturday with a pair of volleyball matches and a pair of soccer matches, another junior varsity doubleheader for volleyball as they take on Graceland University, JV at 11, varsity at 1. And outside on Legacy Field, we have a rare afternoon soccer doubleheader, as the Raven women will host Clark University at noon, followed by the Raven men at 2:30. Not to be without notice, as the cross-country teams will be back in action. It's cross-country week here on Greatness Unleashed. The number 23 ranked Raven women will travel as well as the men up to Sioux Center, Iowa, to take part in the Holiday Inn Express Classic hosted by Dort. That'll do it for this edition of Greatness Unleashed. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and we'll be back in 2 weeks as we set the stage for what will be homecoming week here on the campus of Benedictine College.